Ok. Mm, estamos listos. Bienvenidos a todos a mi primer edición de mi entrevistas con mis amigos. Hoy tengo mi amiga Kimberlee de Texas y voy a tratar a comunicar en español con Kimberlee porque ella habla español bastante. Ella habla español mejor que mí. Um, y yeah. Hola Kimberlee.
Hola, bueno, bienvenidos a todos. Primero de todo, este no fue mi idea, era una idea de Lari. Pero cuidado, porque si vamos hablando en español, es que tiene que hacer la traducción, los subtítulos, ¿cierto? ¿Quieres hacer todo ese trabajo, sí o no? Que no. Okay, I think majority in English, otherwise you're going to have a lot of work with subtitles.
Yes.
You have to translate this.
Yes. Entiendo, pero let's see. Tengo amigos por Face que hablan español bastante.
Ah, bueno.
Sí. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I'm stumped now. I don't know where to go.
Pues vamos con la historia de cómo conocemos, how we met each other.
Sí.
So we actually met in Korea. So I lived in South Korea for about 3 years after I left Spain. So I am a traveler, adventurer, storyteller, poet, photographer, spoken word artist. I kind of wear a lot of hats, and my big passion is traveling the world. So I've been, besides this quarantine, outside of the US for nearly 15 years, living and traveling. So we met during the 3 years that I was in Korea, but you were there for a lot longer, weren't you?
Yes, I was in Korea for 9 years and some change.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So a lot longer.
Yeah. And what years were you there?
It was, well, 3 years off and on, because I kind of left and then I went back. That's another story. So it was 2013, just the tail end of 2013, because I got there in November, and then I left in the first few months of 2017. So 3 years ago.
All right.
When I left.
And we were both we were both members of Brothers and Sisters of South Korea.
Yes, which I just like peruse that Facebook page because sometimes they post, it's such an active group. And when you're an expat, like having that kind of community, even if it is online, you have the possibility of meeting offline, as we did. So it's really nice to have that support when you're abroad.
Absolutely. And shout out to Sha Currington, the creator, facilitator of that group. Let's see. Yeah, if it weren't for Sha and her group, yeah, just what you mentioned, the support system and what do they call it? Like the board. Anytime you're frustrated, you can just bounce ideas off or just throw your ideas on the wall or something like that. Yeah, the phrase or the name of that sort of board.
Brainstorming? Or bouncing ideas off of each other, or venting, maybe?
Yeah.
There's a lot of venting going on. There's like daily, you're always up against something. So like if you catch somebody on a bad day, it could have a much different effect than, if it's a good day for that person. So right. I think there's a lot of venting.
And let's see. So, yeah. So we met. Now, I recall we did not meet in person in Korea. I remember seeing your Facebook profile picture, and it was a very poignant, a very powerful image of the American flag, but it was made of something, of some figures or something. And I asked you about it.
I'm gonna have to give a shout out to the artist. Yeah, Yeah. When we finish, I'm going to send that to you. Maybe you could flash it for your audience. But it was basically a depiction of us hanging by nooses in these kind of red and white stripes. And there's, I think, as well, some gun imagery there as well. So are you sure we never met in person in Korea? Because I have a feeling we might have, because that was around the time of like Black Lives Matter. We went to that protest down in Hongdae at the university, and I think that's where we met. Could
Oh
be
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. I think I was there at that protest.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And the only reason I know we met in person is because I don't have people I don't meet on Facebook.
Ah, okay, okay.
It was like, we must have met in person, face to face.
And
So
then
that's what it was.
there were, so it was 2018, I believe. Oh no, wait. It was
I
Colombia.
left in 17.
Right. It was Colombia, so 2019.
No, the next time we met was in Peru. Did you forget we were in Peru together? Like, kind of.
Oh my, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh. I was getting
Korea,
I was
we
getting
met in Peru.
I was getting Colombia and Peru mixed up. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And that was purely coincidental. That was purely coincidental. Because, you know, I think maybe you were traveling before I'd been there, but I saw on Facebook and it's like, oh, are you going to be there in these dates? Because I'm going too. We should totally meet up. And we did. And it was so crazy to have that kind of a career. And there was, who else was there? Like,
Tigo.
by coincidence?
Tigo.
Who?
Tigo.
Yes, another Black man that we met in Korea was also in Peru.
Right.
So you had like a trifecta of travelers, just like, got on my backpack, where am I going? Hey, I know you. I know you too. Why are we all in Peru?
But you
That
know,
was awesome though. I love that trip.
it's also, and that wasn't the first time, that happened, meeting someone from that group, while traveling. I met Dane and Arnell in Ethiopia.
Ah, okay. By coincidence as well?
Just by coincidence.
Wow.
And yeah, we were headed on the same flight. We looked at each other like, hey, what you doing here? I'm like, hey, don't you look familiar? Wait a minute. So, yeah.
Bueno, quiero enseñarte un dicho en español. Dice que el mundo es un pañuelo.
¿Pañuelo?
Un pañuelo. A tissue. It's not a direct translation, but it means it's a small world.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
El mundo es un pañuelo.
El mundo es un pañuelo. Ah, muchas gracias por su lección.
De nada.
Pañuelo. Okay. That's exactly what happened.
A la orden. Yes. So the world is a pañuelo. So we met by coincidence in Peru, and I was only in Peru on my way to Colombia. So my story, I guess, for this, your amazing stories edition is about my time in Colombia. So I wanted just to kind of do some traveling. I'd always had Machu Picchu on my bucket list. I don't really have a bucket list. It's just like, I want to go here. So it was the next tick that I wanted. And so I spent a few weeks there in transit to Colombia. They border, those countries do border.
And because we were friends through our Facebook group, and we, we had to help each other. I had purchased a ticket, and I wasn't going to make it to all of the destinations on my ticket. And I said, I'm not wasting this. I'm not wasting. So I gave it to you, and you were able to take the ticket and at least keep it in your pocket, because you ended up.
No, I used the heck out of that. We have to explain. It's not just a ticket. It's got a boleto. So it's a ticket, but it's like this big, and it's got all, not just in like, where were we?
We were in Cusco.
Cusco, not just in Cusco, but in like the full, like the whole Sacred Valley. You
Yes.
can visit so many sites. So this boleto, I don't remember, it was probably like expensive, right? But after each site, they just use the old school hole punch, like, think you've been here. But
Yeah.
Larry didn't have enough time, so we were, crossing paths. He's like, "Hey, do you want this boleto?" I was like, "Oh, I was thinking about buying one, but I wasn't sure if it was worth it." So I went everywhere he hadn't gone, and some places I went back and was like, "This is my friend. She gave it to me. Please let me in. I really want to see it."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Sure, go ahead, enjoy." So I think I probably completed the full um, tour of the
Well,
Sacred Valley.
right on.
Yeah, I had the time,
Right on.
so it was great. Yeah, so after Peru, I went to Colombia.
And you were in Colombia much longer than I was. I was there for 3 weeks, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Um, but you were working there, and you were there for a couple of years, I believe.
Yeah, 2 years and a bit. So I left suddenly. I don't think that's going to be part of the story, but I was there for just a little over 2 years. So many people asked, why Colombia? Aren't you scared? It's really dangerous. But for me, it was like any other country. You have to do your research, be prepared, and go with an open mind. So after spending so much time in Korea in this really kind of homogenous society, and the pressures of feeling othered on a daily basis really did wear me down. So I knew when it was time to go. And because I'd been in Spain and learning Spanish, I thought, ay, qué pena que no puedo usarlo in Korea. That I was losing the Spanish that I'd learned during those 3 years in Korea when I was studying Korean. I got to a very basic level, very, very basic. I call it survival, which
Yeah.
is enough. It was enough for me to move around, traveling on my own, reading, writing, whatever, speaking little bit.
No, no,
Um,
no. That's excellent. Don't, don't try to downplay it. Yeah, Korea is rough, and the Korean language is spoken in Korea, whereas
mhm,
the importance of the Spanish language is, vastly greater, you
yeah.
know, given the dispersion of the language and the population. But,
Mhm,
to piggyback on what you said, I was, you know, I was, I came to the end of my enjoyment, in Korea.
mhm,
I was looking at pictures a few hours ago from years past in Korea, and by the end of my tenure, shall we say, in Korea, I started I started doing things like, this is really bad. Um, you
Tell
know,
me, tell me what you did. I'll tell you what I did.
okay, so you know
We
how,
can call it when you know it's time to leave.
yes, like, all right, so there's always the tension between there's the history between Japan and Korea.
Mhm,
Korea was attacked, hundreds, thousands of times by other nations, but hundreds of times by the Japanese. Well, I was so upset, with myself and the circumstances, that I started wearing a Japanese T-shirt that in Japanese read "samurai." It was yes. It
Did
was,
you say something about doctor?
I didn't want to rile. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but it was a very passive aggressive sort of thing that I was doing. It was like, I'm tired. I'm very tired, and so I was wearing a symbol that was very aggressive, and I did not care. I said, look, I'm done with this. And plus, I was leaving Korea as often as I could, on short trips, to get out of there. I had had enough, and then so I completely understand,
Okay.
and I wanted to speak, you know, Korean a lot better. I had aspirations of being a better Korean speaker, but then
Mhm.
when I realized I'm going home, I said maybe I should get back to Spanish. Um, So yeah.
Well, not to downplay the importance of learning the language of your host country. I do think it's really important, even if you're just going for a visit or for vacation, just very simple, hello, goodbye, thank you, what time is it, where's this bus going? Just really simple phrases, because people appreciate it more than you would ever know.
Yeah.
So me, like, studying Korean really hard and not getting very far. Of course, like, personally, you feel like, oh, I should have done better. But just, you know, if you say hello to somebody, they're like, wow, you can say hello. So it really does kind of enrich, I think, your experience. So I am absolutely an advocate of learning even some phrases, or if you're there long term, trying to learn the language, taking classes, tutors, whatever you need to get it done. So it was time for me to go too. The signs were there. I wasn't like passive aggressive about it. I think I was just like, I don't care anymore.
Whatever.
And I really, because I'm really respectful of like different cultures, and you know, integrating into there, not pushing my own ideas onto somebody else, especially when, you know, I'm a guest in their country. Yeah. But I remember passing some coworkers, Korean coworkers in the hallway, and you know, you'd be like, or whatever. I was just like, I don't want to bow anymore. Stop bowing. I was like, I'm not bowing. Nope.
Yes.
Not doing it anymore. Yes. And that was my sign. I was like, oh, it really is time. But thank God I'd already had this plan in motion for Colombia. So I don't even remember how I came upon this opportunity. Maybe it'll you know, pop up tonight in the middle of the night, like, aha. But there was a volunteer opportunity. It was called Green Heart Travels, Colombia Bilingüe. So basically what it is that they brought a lot of native English speakers from all over the world to Colombia, and they were going to have us in a co-teaching situation in kind of the underserved communities of Colombia. And I'd never volunteered before, but it was always something that I wanted to do. So after Korea, and being in this kind of culture that's so different, and being othered for everything from skin color to hair to features, things I never even thought about before. It's like, have a double eyelid? What even is that, you know? And just kind of being picked apart, I was really ready to blend. And of course, to pick up my Spanish again. Because I'd spent so many years in Spain, I wanted to try Latin America. So when Colombia came up, I was like, perfect, I'll go there. So I packed my bags. I did a little traveling in between South Korea and Colombia, where we met. We bumped into each other in Peru. And then I got my placement. So yes, I was in Cali on the coast, on the Atlantic coast.
There was a family, you know, I was driving for Uber several months ago, and there was a family from Cali here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I happened to pick them up, drop them off at their hotel, and in my best Spanish, I said something to the effect of, fue un placer conducir por mis amigos de Colombia. Si necesite ayuda más, llámame, me llamo, something.
Llámame, sí, está bien dicho.
And so I made business card. Let me show you my business card.
Ah, you got a business card. Okay, let's see.
Where is it? Okay, here it is. Pulled out one of these little business cards here.
Okay, got it. Ah, yes. B. Bravler.
Or I don't even know how to pronounce my own company's name. Bravler or Bravler?
Oh, I said B. Bravler.
It's all good. I don't even know.
Okay.
And so I gave them information, and then the next day, you know, they called me and they said, the airport, our you know, friend. And so this family from Cali, you know, I pick them up, I take them to the airport. Yeah, and I introduced them to In-N-Out Burger, which is a California burger eatery.
I know, it's in Texas now. We
Oh,
don't
really?
love it. Honestly, we
Oh,
don't love it.
well,
Sorry.
so but that was our introduction to California, their introduction, my introduction to them of California, burger.
Okay, okay.
And
Uh,
then they were on their way. And yeah, so that's my connection to Cali, besides
okay.
you, you know. And yeah, Cali has the what has a strong or a very vibrant Afro Colombiano comunidad.
Yeah, so just like all up and down the American coast, you know, those ships stopped everywhere. So a lot of people don't realize that in Latin American countries, you're going to find an Afro community, an Afro Latino community. It is very marginalized. So in Cali, Buenaventura, Cali, all of this coastline, these cities that are near the coast, is where there's a huge population of the Afro-Colombianos in Choco as well. So going from someplace like Korea to Cali was like a dream for me.
Oh yeah.
It was absolute heaven, absolute heaven. It's a beautiful country. I can't say it enough how beautiful Colombia is. And if you have the chance, you absolutely, not you've been, but all of you out there, if you have the chance, you absolutely have to check it out.
Yeah.
So Cali does have like a bit of a reputation for being dangerous. And in our program, they actually advised us not to go to certain parts along the coast. We went, you know, to ask for, don't ask for permission, just apologize after. We're like, oh, sorry, we went, look, I'm fine. But for me, a friend taught me this phrase, and I never heard it before, but she was like, girl, it's okay. We got the complexion for the protection.
Yeah.
So while the others were being robbed, we were just like chilling. We were straight chilling.
Right.
So in all that time in Colombia, I never got robbed in Cali. I got robbed everywhere else I lived. In Medellin, in Bogota, pickpocketed, like, you know, it was nobody's business. But in Cali, I was good. I was so good. Yeah. So I spent, I think, about 3 or 4 months in Cali with my volunteer program. And I didn't really have like a firm plan after that. I knew that I wanted to travel in Latin America, and that was just kind of my foot, you know, kind of in the door. But because I had such a great experience and I was really, I think, like loving and living life, I wasn't quite ready to go. And a job opportunity popped up from a friend of mine that I'd actually met in Barcelona 10, many years ago at this school, and we were looking for a social studies language arts teacher. But it's in Medellin. And I was like, oh, I think I have to leave Cali, but it's a really good opportunity. And I can see a different part of the city. So that's how I ended up moving to Medellin. It was for work. And I stayed there for about a year. And then I went back to my roots. I did another volunteer program in Bogota. It was kind of like a pilot program, but I really loved Bogota. I fell in love with it, which is, again, surprising. It's the capital city. It's, you know, congested. There's 8 million people. The transportation is atrocious. The air is polluted. It's on a mountain, so it's raining and whatever, but it's the capital. So you have arts and culture and all of these young, brilliant minds just like come and flock to the city. So I really found like kind of a group, I say my people. And I decided to move to Bogota. So then I was there after Medellin.
Qué buena. Qué buena para.
Qué buena. Muchas gracias. Y así me muevo por todo el país.
Entiendo. ¿Qué más?
So I was going to talk a little bit about when you are traveling. This isn't like a story per se, it's just kind of my experience. You are the master, right, of your destiny, I like to say. except for right now because we're all in pandemic and quarantined. But when you're traveling and especially living abroad, you don't have to adhere to these boxes that either you've put yourself in or that other people have put yourself in. You're absolutely allowed, and I would even say encouraged, to reinvent yourself. Do things you never thought you would do before, like push those boundaries, try new hobbies. And I think one of the reasons that I liked Bogota so much is because I really was able to, I moved there and I didn't know anybody, right? So in Cali, I had my volunteer group. In Medellin, I stayed actually at my friend's house. She had a beautiful finca. And Kathleen, love you. Thank you for that year I spent in your house. And a beautiful family. So I knew people. I had kind of like, my anchor. But in Bogota, I was, again, on my own. So it's like, who is Kimberlee? And I tried everything. I picked up my salsa dancing again. I tried online dating for the first time. That was an adventure. If we do part 2, it's going to be about online dating abroad.
All right.
And then I also I tapped into like my creative juices. So I was designing shoes, and because I have really big feet. So I'm US size 11.5, 12 in women's, European size 44, and in Colombia, I think that was like a 45. Anyway, I cannot walk into a store and find a shoe. So I found this little kind of independent shop, boutique in my neighborhood. And I saw these shoe forms on the wall and I was like, oh, do you guys make shoes? I'm like, yeah, we'll do it a medida to your size. And they were like, damn, you got a big foot. I was like, I know.
Wait a minute.
So I designed one pair. I loved it. I designed 2. I designed 3.
Well, wait a minute. Okay. You have large feet because you
yes.
are a tall woman.
I'm very tall. I'm 6'1".
Yeah, you don't get that impression looking at this screen,
Oh, from here up, you can't tell. I'm very tall. So I need big feet to keep me steady. So I like tapped into this creativity that I never had before. So designing shoes, and then I was going to some poetry events, just listening in the beginning. And a friend I'd met there kind of pushed me to read something I written. It wasn't even a poem. It was an angry letter to my landlord, but it had like some kind of cadence to it. She was like, oh, that thing you wrote to your landlord, get up there and read it. And I was like, nobody wants to hear that, but I got some chuckles. And I was basically like, I'm not paying you because service is not rendered, but of course it was much better. And then from that moment, I just started writing and kind of like digging deep, and I found inspiration in everything. In the bus, because they're so crowded. If you've never been on the Transmilenio, count your blessings. I'm sorry, Bogota, but the Transmilenio is trash.
What is that? Is that a bus?
It's a public bus system. They only have buses. In a capital city of 8 million people, you can imagine, there's no subway.
Wow.
Buses or little busetas, right? So it's always. And it's very dangerous. It's really, very dangerous.
Or guac.
So Transmilenio, everything inspired me. The rainy weather inspired me. My online dating adventures inspired me. My boots, the shoes I designed, inspired me. So I found inspiration and I started performing, and somebody heard me read, and I got invited to be a speaker in an Afro poetry night, and somebody heard that, and then I got invited to be a guest on a radio show. And so it just kind of like snowballed from there. And then it's like, who's Kimberlee? Is she a teacher? No, she's this, she's that, she does the other. So just this kind of reinventing yourself and trying new things and doing all the things, do all the things, meet all the people, taste all the food. You never know, what's going to happen after that.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know another expression, but que buena para ti. I want to say more, but I'm thinking of saying of using Italian. Bellissimo. Ciao. I don't know. Qué buena, qué
Sí, qué bueno, sí, está bien.
maravilloso, maravilloso, something like
Maravilloso. Qué
maravilloso.
maravilloso.
But see, I think you're downplaying your Spanish, and I mean, you have a very, strong handle or command of the Spanish language. Um, how did you? Yes, absolutely. I was, you know, I thought, oh, Spanish was my foreign language in school, and it'll be easy for me to get back into it, and I'll be rocking and rolling because Korea was so far from anything I had ever learned. And then when I met you, I was like, well, I guess I don't speak Spanish as well as I think.
No, don't say that. Everybody has their own level and with time, and you're really motivated because in Peru on vacation, you were taking lessons.
Oh yes,
Like
oh yes.
I've never done that. Like, wow. So un aplauso para Lery.
Muchas
Wow.
gracias.
Yeah. So you've got that motivation, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I learned Spanish when I was in Spain. I did the typical, junior high Spanish second language course in high school. I think I had one semester in uni, but it was all very theoretical. It wasn't practical. So when I got to Spain, I realized that I didn't actually speak Spanish. So that's kind of when I put head in the book and tried to study. But really I think fluency came from just the street. So I say all the time que tengo el español de la calle, sí, ¿sabes? Like I learned just from speaking to everybody. So like taxi drivers love to talk, by the way. Just anybody and everybody in the shops, in la esquina, en la tienda de la esquina, like whoever I could speak to, I would. So it was kind of the same in Colombia. But what you don't realize is just like English is different from US to Australia to UK, Spanish is too. So it's not just the vocabulary, but it's also the accent. So a lot of times people can tell where you're from because of the words you use or the accent you have. So when I got to Colombia, actually when I got to Cali, they were like, oye, mira esta tejana que habla con un español de España. So I was so like con vergüenza. I don't know why, but like literally everybody would be like, so when were you in Spain? Yeah, it's por el acento. Ellos tampoco dice tío. So I had to like learn the slang, the Colombian slang, and just kind of try to neutralize my Spanish accent, which I think I did to like a little bit of success. Now I'm in between. I think it's a jumble. So now people don't know where I'm from. They just know I'm from somewhere. So they guess, are you Dominicana? Are you from Haiti? Are you from Jamaica? Are you from, Brazil? Where are you from? When I say I'm from the United States, they're like, no. ¿Y por qué hablas este español tan buena? Yeah. No sé. Okay, more or less. I still have some mistakes. I just made one. If you're a native speaker, you'll catch it. Otherwise, forget about it.
I know in my head, that sounds good. Sounds good to me.
But I mean, it's always practice. You're always practicing, and you just, sin vergüenza. You just have to speak. Don't be embarrassed about making the mistakes. You'll catch them. Some you will, some you won't. But the most important thing is that you just put yourself out there.
Sí, claro. Exactamente. Pues, Kimberlee, fue un gran placer tener tú por mi guest.
Thank you.
Ojalá
bueno, muchas gracias.
Ojalá que vamos a hacer un otro entrevista en el futuro pronto. What else? Yeah. So, do you have any final comments or something, or?
Yes. I used to say when someone would be like, "Oh, but I'm really scared. I don't want to travel." either outside of my home country or on my own, because a lot of my travels are solo travels. And I said, book the ticket, step one, and then you have to go. You know, but now we're in these unsure times. So I would just say research where you're going to go so that you feel comfortable, and maybe just take small trips around your city. Even you can rediscover your city and just get used to doing things on your own, because a lot of people feel so self-conscious. But what you have to realize is that honestly, nobody's looking at you, and even if they are, you just say they're looking at me because I'm fabulous, right? And then you just have to go about your business.
Yeah.
So just get comfortable, I think, with yourself, doing things on your own. Take short trips, a little longer, a little further, longer distance, longer time, until you build up that confidence to just, you know, to do it. So yeah, I would say feel free, travel, see the world. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's worth it. It's always worth it.
Yeah. Excelente.
Ujú.
Gracias por su tiempo y
Bueno, claro.
nos vemos pronto.
Perfecto. Nos vemos por allí, por allá. Porque el mundo es un pañuelo.
El mundo es un pañuelo.
El mundo es un pañuelo. Bueno, Larry, chao.